for example, having a time reinstated from pre-qualifying for going off the road to avoid a bollard that was in the middle of the road. So avoiding a car that would have made you have an accident any other way, again, might be mitigating. Let's see. Light to red, light to green. We go racing in race 1 of the GT4 European Series, powered by Rafa Racing Club. Great start by the McLaren then. Josh Rattigan not only leads away, but swings across the road to gain the line for the corner ahead of Ibanez in second place. Benjamin Lariche goes third. In fourth as they wriggle their way through for the first time. Looks like the Toyota as up the curve there goes Hadrian David. He in turn is just ahead of Greg Gilbert. And then you've got Beke Bechler in the first of the BMWs. Big send up the inside line there. Looked by Ricardo van der Ende in the red, white and blue BMW that tries to get up alongside Bechler as well. Outside line there, look, going on towards turn 6, but he couldn't quite do it. Rattigan leads.
It was a quick start. Rattigan went early and that helped the field space out, so there was less chance of contact. But look in the background, the Supra having to defend there. There's something going to kick off. Porsche's 3 wide in the middle as well.
So they all survived turns 1, 2 and 3 against expectation. But yeah, you're right, a very quick starting Josh Rattigan, away like a stabbed rat. He leads the way from Ibanez, from Lariche, from David, from Gilbert. And there's the first drama of the race. One of the Astons gets all roughed up and back onto the circuit, although with a bit of time wasted, I'm afraid, is the racing spirit of Le Mans car of Baudouin Detu. He will drop back in the pack as Rattigan tries to get away from Ibanez, who's got Lariche crawling all over him. They come down through Cavoni for the first time through turns 11, 12, 13, 14. Every right-hander in this section tightens, so you go kink to corner to tight corner to hairpin. 3 for the lead. They're bunching up again.
Yeah, and it's hard to call so many different manufacturers in here. There's been a balanced performance change since qualifying, but it looks very even across all the brands. Hard to call out. I thought the Mercedes was going to be stronger on the opening lap and put the McLaren under some pressure down the straight, but that wasn't the case. Looks like Bessler really struggling, isn't he? Van der Ende all over him. That looks like it's a move that's going to happen this lap.
Let's see, is it going to happen down at turn 1? Yes, the BMW's nose to tail almost side by side. And then behind them there, looking the 812 white McLaren, Charlie Hart, the quick young Brit, going nicely, but he's involved in a big battle with Stanislav Safronov. They come then now pairing off a little bit up towards turn 4. So Rattigan and Ibanez together with Benjamin Lariche trying to stay with them. Then you've got David and Gilbert fighting for 4th, the next pair. Bessler and Van der Ende, and then Hart and Safronov together, the next pair. But the 3 leaders then come towards us with Josh Rattigan just trying to extend the margin, and he has done so by a couple of attempts in sector 1. Into the pit lane is Hugo Mojica. Strive for the Ginetta on the first lap, punctured tyre by the look of it. And I wonder whether that got involved with the Aston Martin of Detu, which is why that car lost ground as well.
Yeah, it would make sense. They both went off the track at similar points. But just looking at Stefan Daste there, he's made a huge amount of places up on this opening lap. The front 3 getting away, the Supra then of David starting to hold up cars behind. And Bessler still in front of Van der Ende, who's looking to the inside. Safronov in the Aston Martin, our lead Pro-Am car as well. So he's had a good start, still on the back of Charlie Hart.
Hadrian David in the Toyota Supra, just there ahead of Greg Gilbert. They're 4th and 5th in the race. They're 4th and 5th in silver as the cars work their way now up towards the hairpin at turn 14. Out of it they turn with the BMWs almost together again. Ricardo van der Ende bit frustrated now, being stuck behind Beke Bechler, but he's got to find a way past us there. Gilbert bounces out to the inside, has a look coming into turn 16. No way through as they accelerate now past the pits. So Josh Rattigan, in his 2nd season of GT4, last year's Silver Cup champion, he knows that McLaren well. He's using that experience to good effect to pull away Ibanez. 7/10 of a second back, and then in 3rd it is Lariche. And look at this, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th now, pretty much all in a line. Toyota, Audi, and then they're not quite nose to tail anymore, but the 2 BMWs are there as well.
Yeah, it looks like Bessler's car is coming alive. That blue BMW maybe starting lower tyre pressures. We see that quite often. Different starting pressures lead to a different way the tyre comes in. Cresswell trying to get that Ginetta out the way. That's obviously on an out lap, but he'll be fighting to stay on the lead lap. He will not make that move easy. That will be a big defence as we see Bessler looking to the inside. We are starting to get track limit warnings. There's a few inside the top 10 already. Once they get to 6th one, they get a 5-second penalty. It's a Ginetta defender getting out the way. I think it was the latter, luckily for the McLaren, but it's held up Ibanez.
Absolutely, because now Rattigan can use that to his advantage, can't he? The gap was 9/10 of a second, and if he can just leave that Ginetta between him and the opposition for another couple of corners, that's going to help. But actually, the grunt of that Mercedes AMG in a straight line, he's able to carry him through on the outside line down towards turn 11, that fast kink at Corvone, and then the cars accelerate their way all the way on towards the hairpin at turn 14. Now there, number 61, is Eric Evans, struggling really to make the progress in that Mustang. He's down in 16th place, but bear in mind they're double winners, and you'd have thought this would be a perfect circuit for the Mustang. They have really struggled, whether it's with the car, with the setup, or whether it's just not the best BOP for it this weekend. Only the team will tell, but they are not where they need to be for the championship. Really
not. Second in the championship at the moment. They're only just about in front of one of the AM cars at the moment of Kronberg. He is the AM class leader, and we know how fast Kronberg is, but that shows you the lack of pace in that Academy Mustang.
And there's another Mustang in the race of Nathan van Springel, and that's only 28th as there. A big move is made around the outside line. That's Victor Boevenger-Kimwalde, 98 BMW, gets ahead of the similar car of the Maloney family. Now have a look in the background, 11. That is from the rear of the grid, Pedro Ebrahim. So he started 38th, he's up to 24th already.
14 places done in the first 6 minutes of the race, which is pretty impressive. Keeps at that rate, he's going to win it easily.
Easier said than done, isn't it? But he's going nicely. Of course, you can see the sister car there involved in a big battle, but he's got ahead of Gilbert. So up the inside line, Benkei Bechler goes ahead of the Audi, and now Ricardo van der Ende makes the pass as well, and he's gone by. So it's still Gilbert just hanging on to the place ahead of Charlie Hart, but the two BMWs have caught and passed and gone, and Hadrian David, look, has been able to build a gap while all that squabbling has been happening. Greg Gilbert doesn't often lose places like that, but he got well and truly put offline by a hard-charging Benkei Bechler, so the Turkish driver gets ahead of the Frenchman, and also Dutchman Ricardo van der Ende nips by as well. There, 17 is van der Ende.
Yeah, and Charlie Hart's still trying to hold off that Aston Martin at the moment. I thought he was going to get a chance to get Gilbert as well, but Gilbert seems to have stopped the rut and actually is on the front foot now, trying to get that place back off the BMW van der Ende.
So the race leaders swing their way on towards the end of the lap. In 8th place, it is Charlie Hart keeping Stanislav Safronov at bay. Now, Safronov is the leading Pro-Am at the minute, and the leading Am is number 30, Max Kronberg's Porsche. So Safronov going nicely. They're always there or thereabouts within Pro-Am. They haven't been winners this season, but they have been on the podium. Way out wide there goes Gustavo Xavier's BMW, and the field comes flooding past him. Now, was that a mistake, or has he got a problem? Has he picked up pace? Just about, I think.
Yeah, it's intermittent. It still doesn't look massively quick. He's lost a handful of places instantly there, as we see one of the other McLarens fight through 1 and 2. It's interesting to see what they can do around the outside there, 3 wide.
That is Josh Dynaston, but look, up the inside line there was going Hendrik Still to get himself up past Max Kronberg, his co-driver of last year. So big shuffles going on. Where is all that happening? Round about 14th, 15th, 16th area. So number 8, Greg Gilbert, shuffle back in the pack then, down to 7th, and he might lose that in a minute. Charlie Hart is right behind him, and Stanislav Safronov in the mix as well. Regular in the GT4 European Series, Safronov over the last few years. So that McLaren going nicely. Different team operating the car. The Rafa Racing cars run by the Race Lab team, whereas it's Elite Motorsport operating the yellow race-leading McLaren.
Yeah, and it's looking very strong. It almost feels like Rattigan's managing the pace already. Saying that, he just did a purple sector 1 on this lap, so he's able to keep out Ibanez at 8/10. That's really the minimum gap you want as a driver. 8/10, you can manage that, and I think less, you have to look in your mirrors to make sure a lunge isn't happening. So he's going to try and keep that gap. 8/10 to a second is a really nice gap to look after the tyres as well for the second half of the race.
So pairing off again, look, as now Safronov gets up onto the back of Charlie Hart, whose father was a very rapid GT racer. Grandfather Hart used to be a truck racer of some repute, Stan Hart, going back quite a few years. So the race leaders have gone by. We've had 8.5 minutes of the race done when they crossed the beam, and 8/10 of a second is that margin. Josh Rattigan will give way to Mackenzie Cresswell in his first year of GT racing. Luke Ibanez will give way to Alex Papadopoulos, who did race in the championship last year. I would suggest, looking outside as well, that it's a little bit more overcast than it was. It's not quite as bright and sunny, and the temperature just feels like it's dropped a little bit, which may have an impact.
Yeah, we've lost 5 degrees of track temp, so 10% cooler. So that will be something the teams will be considering. Is that BMW fully back up to speed now? So luckily for them, they're getting on with it. But Bessler looks like the man on the move. He's gapped van der Ende, hasn't he? Who was all over him for the first 5 minutes. The last 5 minutes have fully gone now in favour of that blue BMW.
Race leaders currently work lap number 6. As you look there at Gabriele Ilkova ahead of Hendrik Still. This is the fight for 2nd, 3rd and 4th ahead of the pair Vinny Beltramelli, Paul Ricard winner in the Porsche Cayman. And after a bad qualifying, which came after an off in testing, there is the Hendrik Still Porsche Porsche has got different bodywork, legacy of its off yesterday, and there with something coming out of the front. That's 39 again, isn't it? Budo under 2.
Yeah, it's dropping something. Is it smoke or is it liquid? I think we're missing the Lotus as well. Is there big contact between these two? That's liquid.
And it looks low on that side as well. Do we have got a puncture or something? Certainly the bodywork has dropped. There's a whole geyser gushing out of that car, and the Lotus has stopped as well.
Is there contact on the rear of that Lotus to the front of the Aston? That Aston keeps dropping that fluid. That's going to be a worry for some of the drivers.
The Lotus was 30th, the Aston was 25th, so it may not necessarily be related, but you're right, the Aston now, having put a bit of liquid down up at turn 10, is off the road. Now, if that's only water, it should evaporate pretty quickly. Hopefully, it won't be a major problem. That lead gap's come down, hasn't it, from 7/10 to 6/10. Luc Ibanez having another push in the Mercedes AMG GT4 to try to get up onto the back of the McLaren. You see how much curb is being used by Josh Rattigan. Certain parts of the racetrack are being policed, others less so. So where you get a free ride, as it were, the driver's trying to exploit that. You see the Lotus parked in the background approaching turn 8, but it was this part of the circuit where we saw the Aston dropping liquid, and both the leading cars there having a bit of a drama. So Rattigan now treating the next corner with circumspection just to make sure he does have some grip.
Yeah, and he is wide, and Ibanez went in tight. Completely different lines there. Was that Ibanez just turning in early to be safe?
Full course yellow is coming. Full course yellow now called. So to get cars out of the way and maybe treat any liquid, we have a full course yellow, and 81 also is in the pit lane. So drama for the Josh Dynson McLaren, and that was going well early on, but you see the big witness mark in the right-hand door.
Yeah, it's had a huge whack, and not too much to get damaged on the McLaren on that door, so it must be something else why that car isn't out there circulating. The full course yellow to get these two cars, the Lotus and the Aston, to a safer place. And interesting that the Lotus looks fine from the front. So we've got 3 damaged cars, and we've got to piece together, were they together, and at which point did which one hit who?
So everybody slows down. If it's only a brief full course yellow, we can go back to green. There is, with a bit of damage on the front, the Hendrick still, Joachim Bolting Porsche. You see that white rear section, a legacy of the damage sustained yesterday. And for the first time all season, Hendrick still did not get pole position in his class in qualifying. So he was well and truly beaten to that. Stanislav Safronov then leads the Pro-Am section at the moment. There he is.
I wonder if he went too early down to the 80Ks, because he was only half a second behind the Hart McLaren last time by, and that gap much bigger now. So as they get the full course yellow, the team will count them down from 10 to get to 80, but I feel he must have slowed down early, or did Charlie Hart go late?
Well, the data and the delta speeds provided by Swiss Timing, the timekeeping service, will announce if there are any dramas to race control. Of course, under a full course yellow, the gaps should not necessarily come down, depending on where you are. For example, when a full course yellow is called, if you're in a slow section as opposed to somebody in a quick, and vice versa. But if you go safety car, then the gaps will come down. The Lotus is towed out of the way.
Can't see much damage on it, so I can only assume that's an actual mechanical failure.
I'm starting to think they are 2 separate incidents that came at the same time, really.
They had one at Spa as well, and they're trying to be getting on top of that car to keep it going, but it's fast over a lap for sure, that car.
Yeah, they've had a class win, haven't they? And still, in fairness, they were second in the Pro-Am Championship. Full course yellow ending on short notice, so this is where the teams have to be ready. You could just hear in the background the team shouting green flag, so we're back racing, and this is where the team giving the information to the driver has to be so good so they don't lose time. And right round the outside of Hadrian David, there goes Van der Ende. That's a brave move in the BMW. Van der Ende has got past Bessler as well, so Berke Bessler has gone back 2 places out of all of that, so it's a very good restart by Van der Ende.
Yeah, and that's all happened since turn 1 on the restart. So Van der Ende, did he go early, or was Bessler sleeping? But he's had an amazing start to the lap here. 2 places gained for Van der Ende. Now can he chase down the top 3?
Let's see how he goes then. There's the lapped Ginetta to clear first of all. So there is Berke Bessler going through. You've got Greg Gilbert back in the mix, and Charlie Hart as well. So the race leading cars then currently work lap number 8. Just compounds the woes.
Yeah, they've got a very healthy lead in the Pro-Am Championship at the moment. 59 points clear, but that will be a worry for them especially that 5 seconds, going to drop them right back into another group of cars as well. So it's hard fought, but the officials there saying Hendrick still is at fault. And yeah, Yilkova's lost a load of time as well. She's only in the back of the shot just there, so must have been a side-to-side contact from Still, but he was the aggressor, so he was the one at fault.
They're going through as number 48, Davide Meloni, at the wheel of the BMW that he shares with his father, Paolo Meloni, and that currently in the mix as far as Pro-Am is concerned. But the order continues to shuffle lap after lap as Berke Beschler comes in from 4th place to give way now to Gabriele Piana. Shrewd move that, because we know that Piana is really quick, gets him in the car early, as in this little battle you've got then coming down towards us the Vinny Beltramelli driven Porsche just ahead of Davide Meloni in the BMW. Up towards the timing line they go, Meloni having worked his way up the order on that lap. Hendrick still behind, and then another of the BMWs in the queue, Lucas Cartel next up. But Meloni here having a red hot go to find a way by, isn't he?
Yeah, it's not really an overtake there into 3, but the next corner into 4 and 5 is a potential one. Is he going to pop to the inside? He does. Has he got enough of the car down the inside? He has. Good driving as well from the 24 Porsche there. Goes off wide, but he gave him the space. I'm not sure he had to run.
And the Lucas Cartel BMW that has just pitted to give way to Lucas Suliano, that's on its last warning for track limits. So it's totting up time. Into the pits has come the leader. The clock starts for Lucas Ibaniev to give way to Alex Papadopoulos, and there is another troubled Mercedes. That's another of the NM Racing Team cars, is it not? That's the Igor Sorokin Keith Gatehouse car from the AM class, and it's limping on.
Worst time to get a puncture as well. It's pretty much going to do the 4 kilometers here at Misano, and the front left takes a pounding round here with so many long radius right-handers. And you can see that Toyota Audi battle still raging on.
It's Sorokin at the wheel, so it's yet to stop. So it's due a pit stop anyway, but you're right, it's going to be a really slow in-lap. Now, did he hit a curb to do the tyre, or the tyre went down? That would suggest the tyre went down as he tried to get to the corner.
Yeah, at turn 1 of 16 corners. That is real TPMS as we see the 8 car around.
That's Paul Petit then, so fresh into the car, and Paul Petit has a spin up at turn 10, and that looked like he did that all on his own. So Paul Petit with a costly mistake, or did he do it on his own? There was a Toyota nearby, and Jan Duran has a dive up the inside. Apologies, there was a whack, and around he went. So Paul Petit, with more than just a bit of hip and shoulder, gets Mackenzie Cresswell, but only just, because there is Robert Constantine right up behind him. So through they come now, heading up towards turn 9, and this is exactly what Papadopoulos needs, isn't it? Those two squabbling, holding each other up, allowing him to build the lead, constantly having a look up the inside, and he makes it work.
Yeah, very easy. It's going to be a drag race again, but the McLaren doesn't seem to go. This is round 2 now for the elite McLaren, wasn't it? It lost out to the Mercedes in the first part and has already lost out to the Audi, and that Audi makes the job done very easy. Good move from Kasani. It's finished stint 1 very strong, didn't it, with Lariche, and now Kasani seems to be the man on the move. Has he got enough pace to close down the lead Mercedes?
And they're thinking championship. So it's been a really solid effort as the Rafa Racing Club car of Callum Davis is in the gravel. That was the one Charlie Hart was doing great things with earlier on. Callum Davis manages even in the gravel to spin it round, and he's also charging along now. So the former French GT front runner, champion in 2020, right on the back, used to race touring cars as well, Benjamin Lecen, and now you can see, look, Mackenzie Cresswell having to go defensive. This is for 3rd overall, 3rd in silver, and that BMW looking as though it is when, not if, it finds a way through. Yeah,
and it is dragging Piana with him too, isn't it? But Piana now has to try and close that gap while the McLaren holds up the BMW. That's his only chance of a podium. There's 3 cars going for 1 final podium position.
So to the inside line, feints Benjamin Lecen, and he forces a mistake out of Cresswell, who goes deep into the corner. The BMW squirts up the inside. Gabriele Piana is almost with them as well. Benjamin Lecen on the outside line to the kink at 9. He wants the inside line for turn 10. So we've seen the BMW make moves here in the past. Can't do it this time. Well, it sort of does by opening the door with a bit of push and shove. That forces the McLaren out wide. Lecen will be advised to give that place back and try again, wouldn't he?
That was a proper push to pass, and that's not going to stand. That's going to be a 5-second penalty for me. Why he didn't lift off and give the penalty back, it was clear as day. He just went in the back, pushed the McLaren wide and took the place. Very low IQ driving, in my opinion.
So Benjamin Lecen not only gets the place rather brutally, but didn't self-censure. Now, I wonder whether the team might be on the radio saying, give the place back before we get a penalty. What he wants to do, of course, if that is the situation, is not be compromised against Piana's BMW. So now he's between a rock and a hard place. He either stays where he is and risk a penalty, or he tries to give back the place in the McLaren and is at risk of being jumped by Piana.
Yeah, there's no way he could slot in between that McLaren and BMW. Now it's Piana trying to force the issue too, trying to go around the outside of 1 is difficult, but it's compromised now as he tries down the inside of 2. We saw some interesting moves, but Cresswell runs wide there. It's that McLaren, as soon as you show it a car in its mirror, it just loses a position. It's the worst car, it seems, to be able to hold on, and that was the easiest move ever.
Now, number 17 must give back position on car 78. Trouble is, that's going to cost Lessen 2 places now, look, not only because Piana is ahead, but also think about the amount of time he's going to hemorrhage, because there's a gap between the 2 BMWs, and what race control is saying is to Benjamin Lessen, you hit the yellow McLaren, you've got to get back behind it. But Piana's not going to slot back in behind as well and redress the situation in that respect. He's going to be the big winner.
I said it was going to be hard for Piana to get a podium. It was if everyone played well, but it's just been handed to him. And now the BMW goes, slightly compromises Piana there, slightly dirty, but now Steele needs to lift off all the way down this back straight.
Exactly. And if he'd have just done the backing off here a lap ago, he could have still been able to fight for position. Now, he still hasn't given it back to the McLaren, and he's lost out to Piana. So Benjamin Lessen, what did you say a lap ago about the brains trust in the car? He still hasn't done what he's being told to do by race control. The team surely is on the radio saying, you've got to let the McLaren through, otherwise we risk a big penalty. He's so focused, I think, on Piana, I thought he was letting him go so he could then drop behind the McLaren. I think it was actually Piana is lapping quicker in 3rd place. Piana is 5 seconds behind the Audi.
Yeah, Lessen has actually got past Cresswell as well, so that move has happened. We don't know if it was clean, but I do think this Audi just has more grip. You can see how tight he can keep the cars out of the corner. That Mercedes seems like the rear tyre's starting to drop off, and we've still got time for 4 more laps. This is going to be a mammoth task to keep the Mercedes in front.
So, for as long as Papadopoulos defends, Gabriele Piana is closing, and he's closing by about 0.3 to a sector. As up the inside line goes Robert Consoni, gets the job done, goes wide. Papadopoulos tries to switch sides, but then he puts himself on the outside line for the next 2 corners. He needs to be wide in, tight out. Sometimes that will work, sometimes it won't, as we've seen in the past, and he can't get the inside line into the corner. He can coming out, so who's got the most drag? Who's got the most grunt? The Mercedes AMG on the inside line, the Audi on the outside. Brilliant racing this in the GT4 European Series. They go toe-to-toe down towards turn 11. Back up front goes Papadopoulos, but Robert Consoni braves it out on the outside line. They are absolutely level, but Consoni gets it done at turn 12 all the way around the outside. Does he go wide into the corner a little bit? Papadopoulos tries the inside line at 14. No way through. A job well done by Robert Consoni in Team Speed Car. Very, very pleased about that, and that was a well-deserved. And the BMW in the mix as well, which is the Simpson car, Loboda at the wheel. So it is Michael Loboda, number 96, who's dropped back on this lap just ahead of number 1 Mustang, the blue and white car of Michael Haverans. So the white McLaren, Callum Davis at the wheel of it, comes up towards turn 10. There, the Simpson Motorsport Michael Loboda driven M4, and Michael Haverans is right up behind in the number 1 Mustang. Cork in the bottle to a degree is the McLaren, but David Kuhlmann there having to attack the McLaren and defend from all the BMWs stacked up behind him, with Paolo Meloni just ahead of Michael Loboda.
Yeah, Davis 8 seconds behind the car in front, and then it feels like he's got a pack of 9 cars behind him that are within 8 seconds, so it really shows the lack of pace for that McLaren, but Davis doing well to keep his elbows wide at the moment and hold on to 12th place.
So through they turn, making that run again on through turn 15. The race has 5.5 minutes left in it. Robert Consoni is not getting away actually from Papadopoulos, and it's nearly 3 seconds covering the 3 leading cars. Piana still has to make up 2.3 seconds. He was only 7/10 quicker on that previous lap than Papadopoulos. While here, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, they all run as a battle pack, right the way down to 16th, number 1 Michael Haverans, coming now out of turn 3. Callum Davis doing a good job of being able to hang on to the place, even if he's not getting away, even if he's not catching anybody. He's not yet been tricked into an error and letting them go by. Bearing in mind, of course, he's regrouping from an earlier spin.
Yeah, and I don't know if that spin's caused an issue, the rear tyre, but he's lighting it up everywhere, so he must have turned the traction control off, and he's deciding he's faster controlling the near 500 horsepower of these GT4 cars give out with his right foot rather than using the highly sophisticated traction control systems in that car. But the rear tyres definitely losing out now as he's putting more and more rubber down onto the track.
So the race leader, Robert Consigny, is currently on lap number 31. Here the leading battle is for McLaren and Aston Martin. The BMWs in the pack battling amongst themselves as well. We started with 38, we're down to 34 still circulating, which does include 88 McLaren after its puncture. Igor Sorokin limped it round and gave over to Keith Gatehouse, and that's at the rear of the field. Callum Davis under real attack here from David Kuhlmann. And Paolo Meloni second currently to this car in Pro-Am. So a long way up the road is the Alexander Weintraub driven Aston Martin. That is 88, Keith Gatehouse at the wheel of it, and a big effort made by David Kuhlmann on the outside. No way through there. Paolo Meloni has a look at the inside. No way through there. And also in the middle of all of that, you've got the Laboda BMW. Now say Meloni, where has Meloni gone to? He's disappeared altogether. So that was Laboda having a look at the inside. Haverance goes through, and Meloni is way back, coming over the line now. So Paolo Meloni goes through a 153. He's had a moment somewhere, hasn't he? So Paolo Meloni drops a long way back, and that takes some of the pressure, at least, off Michael Laboda. That means he can attack, and a mistake is made there by Callum Davis. Look, he's been forced way out wide. He's got a problem. The smoke at the back.
Has he been hit from the rear? They can't see any major bodywork damage. Could be a mechanical failure, but the smoke and the lack of pace is definitely issue. And annoyingly for Meloni as well, he's now dropped outside the podium as there's damage on that BMW.
And a puncture for Tudorace. We have in the past had BMWs having punctures here, but I wonder whether that's a tyre issue or a curb strike or contact with another car. But Tudorace limps on, and I think that happened coming over the line, because I saw out of our window a slow BMW, so he's got a very, very long limp home, and it is a puncture. You can see quite clearly the front rider's gone down.
The race leaders are only about 10 seconds behind this. Is that going to trip them up as they have to get past that very slow BMW?
There in time, it was, and off the road now altogether. Spectacularly goes the Porsche there, number 259 of Bas Visser. And that is coming out of turn 12. Oh, and there's the BMW involved as well of Laboda that has stopped.
It's going to be a full course yellow, isn't it?
I would think so.
They're dropping like flies all of a sudden, aren't they? The BMW's now that Porsche in the barrier.
I wonder whether Laboda was trying to get out of the way and the Porsche got caught out and had to go off in avoidance. Either way, Michael Laboda's car is out of the race.
I wouldn't want to be getting out of a race car there.
No, quite. But the officials, with what, a minute and a half on the clock, either go full course yellow or I guess a red flag. Let's try and work out who did what to which and to whom. So this is Meloni's earlier drama. He bounced off the McLaren. Okay, that's why he went around. Fine.
Was that the damage on the McLaren as well? It was the slightest of touch, but it was on that corner.
And then a big, big lose with tyre on the road. So there's the Porsche going off. There was debris on the road. Now, did he hit the debris or was he trying to avoid it? Either way. The line, checkered flag is waved. Consigny and Lariche win. Papadopoulos and Ibanez second, and third, Gabriele Piana and Beke Bessler. Benjamin Lassen takes fourth with Ricardo van der Ende. Fifth goes the way of Mackenzie Cresswell and Josh Rattigan from pole, and sixth from 38th, Jagish Gaidik and Pedro Ibrahim.
32 places gained.
Thank you. Beautifully filled that gap. For Pro-Am honours, 10th overall, Alexander Weintraub and Stanislav Safarov. First win of the season for the number 7 Aston Martin. A car that started 9th on the grid, and he's going to finish 10th.
That's a good race for them.
That's a drop of 1 position that you were going to tell me. Up over the line, but a class win and a first-class win of the season. Perfect execution, that well clear of the class opposition. Second in Pro-Am is going to be this car for its best of the year. The Toyota of Cindy Goudet to bring it home, the French Hill Climb champion, and Gabriele Yilkova. And third in Pro-Am, despite the spin, is the Meloni family, dad and lad. What's going on in Am? It's going to be the Anthony de Barn there, BMW, and Jean-Mathieu Leandri. So let's look at the results then, with Benjamin Lariche and Robert Consigny, the victors, from Luc Ibanez and Alex Papadopoulos, their best result of the year. Beke Bessler and Gabriele Piana taking third. Ricardo van der Ende and Benjamin Lassen fourth. Josh Rattigan and Mackenzie Cresswell finishing fifth, ahead of Pedro Ibrahim and Jagish Gaidik, who was sixth, having started 38th on the grid.
32 places gained, amazing.
7th, Greg Gilbert and Paul Petit, ahead of Eric Evans and Marco Signoretti, Hadrian David and Jan Duran 9th, with 10th, the Pro-Am winning Stanislav Safronov, Alexander Weintraub, Aston Martin. 17th, the winning Am entry, Jean-Mathieu Leandri and Anthony de Barn in their BMW, the Chazal Technology entered car. So some really good racing, and 32 of the 38 getting to the end. But that's a very significant result for Lariche and Consigny as far as the championship is concerned, because another victory, and especially with title rivals Signoretti and Evans only 8th, that really does allow them to take a big step forward. So race 2 for GT4 European Series will be tomorrow.